First on Fox tonight, the men in black get caught up in those strange lights over Phoenix.
UFO investigators now claim that some video of the lights has mysteriously disappeared, taken by men in black, no less. Jim Schnabel tracks down this tale in tonight's 10 Files.
Months after this sighting, there are still many questions regarding the strange lights over Phoenix. Is this a solid craft or merely lights in an empty sky? What could be the conclusive evidence is now mysteriously missing. Richard Curtis claims his home video is proof that this sighting was a huge flying craft, and he claims his video shows a solid object in the sky passing over his home.
I saw the bottom of it as it went over the top of Phoenix. The lights of Phoenix lit up the bottom part of it, and it blocked out the clouds and the stars.
Curtis calls Phoenix Councilwoman Barwood to show her the footage.
He had it on these 2 videotapes, and he asked me if I would like them. So I said, of course I would. Could he give me copies of them? And he said that he would, and I told him how to get them to my office and to mark them personal and confidential.
But before Curtis can send Barwood the videotapes, he's paid a visit by 2 mysterious men in black.
They were all dressed in black suits, and they had the black hats, and sunglasses. And they asked me if I had tapes for City Councilwoman Barwood. And I said, yeah, they're laying right here. And they said, well, we just stopped by to pick them up. I said, oh, great. And I just handed it to them.
I didn't get them, and I have no idea who these 2 men were, since I have just females working in my office. So it's just absolutely puzzling to me.
Did the tapes ever exist? And if so, were they proof of more than lights in the sky? And who were the mysterious men in black that allegedly took them?
I think somebody either listened in on a phone call and wanted them tapes.
I can't explain it. It's just kind of eerie.
The mystery continues. Jim Schnabel, Fox 10 News.
Richard Curtis, the man who makes these claims, says that he didn't realize the importance of his videotapes, or he would have made copies and not given out the originals.
Seen yet. Sometimes they appear in a straight line, sometimes in a V shape. And for the first time we've seen, this home video actually shows flames coming off one of them.
Oh my God, get your mother. Gene, get your mother.
Mom, come here. Close the door.
Holy shit.
What?
What is it? Can you see it?
Scott Montgomery is the man who shot this video near the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. He and his wife Susie say the lights have been showing up in the area on and off for weeks now.
I hope it's nothing from outer space, but I don't think it's flares. And we tell people, they don't believe us that we see them.
Law enforcement agencies last week logged hundreds of calls about the mysterious lights. Sky Harbor Airport says nothing showed up on their radar. One military pilot explained the lights away as flares used in military exercises. But after watching the video, one local UFO expert doesn't want to be so quick to explain them away.
I'm assured by looking at this that these objects are in front of South Mountain. But I have no take on what they are at this time. We haven't had enough time to study the situation.
He even goes so far as to call the lights a dramatic event. Well, what does that mean? It means either nobody is telling us what they are, or nobody really knows for sure.
Well, I've seen them over South Mountain area, seen them over Estrella, seen them past the nuclear plant, seen them right across from our house. I don't know what they are, but whatever they are, they move.
Pretty weird. We get a ton of calls on these things. On the record, the Arizona National Guard, who would know about military exercises and stuff, says it has no explanation at all for those lights.
And what about Troy Hayden? Got an educated guess?
No, they're weird though. I mean, the flames coming off the side of that one, it doesn't look like anything that I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either. Not picking anything up in the Weather Center either.
You may have seen a UFO expert try to prove that pictures of an alien autopsy were faked.
In recent years, Arizona has become a hotspot for UFO sightings. Most of the sightings come from Sedona and Flagstaff, and now even Phoenix. One local expert says he knows why.
Phoenix is geophysically geophysically, Phoenix is a very unique place. If you looked at it from space, we have water, deep groundwater, granite rock, silica sand, and then iron mountains. That's an electronics device. That's an induction coil and a discharge capacitor. Is that somehow related to something as part of their technology to hone in on and get here? Could be.
In addition to that, Del Grosso also points to this dramatic home video from March 13th. Remember these pictures? These pictures were shot, show what many believe to be some kind of strange lights hovering over downtown Phoenix. The military guessed that it was a flare test, but others call it the most dramatic UFO sighting in years.
They say the craft was moving very slowly and without any sound at all. The people that saw that believe what they saw was an alien spacecraft. Now Governor Symington himself has launched an official investigation. It is 8:15, the night of March 13th, 1997, and suddenly, over the skies of Polden, Arizona, what is described as a giant, brightly lit boomerang soars through the air, slowly and silently.
Point.
Thousands of people are amazed.
You see how confusing.
Plain and simple, do you think it is a spacecraft?
It may be, but it may be one of ours.
Just 15 minutes later, that same UFO is spotted by thousands of people over the Phoenix area. People report seeing it, pilots report seeing it in the air, yet military radar screens pick up nothing. Now, in an unprecedented move, Governor Fife Symington is determined to find out what those lights are all about.
The video that I saw a quick glimpse of was intriguing, so I'm going to order a full investigation of this through DPS. We're going to make all the necessary inquiries, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to find out if it was a UFO.
That's right. Now, the governor is holding a press conference at this very moment. In fact, at the state capitol, reportedly, he says that the DPS has already turned up startling new information about this case. We'll have that for you later on in the evening.
All right. Thank you, Bill Spencer, reporting live. Now, this is not the first time a public official has asked for an investigation into the lights. Phoenix City Council member Frances Emma Barwood asked the mayor to launch an investigation, but that never happened.
You're watching KNXV TV Phoenix. News 15 at 10 starts now.
What are these lights spotted over Phoenix? There's a new explanation, but even more debate.
A Valley neighborhood takes on a problem pig and wins. It may sound strange, but it's been a year-long quest.
And we begin with Governor Fife Symington's second day on the witness stand. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. He admits making mistakes, even being millions of vetoes. For those mysterious lights seen across the Southwest earlier this year.
A member of the Air National Guard says they were flares dropped during a training mission. But as News 15's Nina Jimenez explains now live from Squaw Peak, some UFO experts say the new theory can't explain all of the sightings. Right, Nina?
Paul, it certainly does not. Now, the Air National Guard out of Maryland is saying that this is only a possibility, perhaps a possibility of what some of those lights people saw were. Now, those who are researching the lights phenomenon, who are researching UFOs, say what took place here was far different than what the Air National Guard says took place. This happened over a period of hours, and it took place all over the state.
Okay, just count to 10 for Bobby. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chuck and Carla Reardon are two of dozens of Arizonans being interviewed for an upcoming Discovery Channel special devoted to the Phoenix Lights phenomenon. The couple shot video from their backyard the night of March 13th.
We had no idea what it was. We were just real curious.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge across, and they were bright lights suspended in the air.
But the Air National Guard out of Maryland is just now reporting they dropped flares southwest of Phoenix on that night, though the Reardons don't believe that's what they saw.
Video doesn't do it justice. It was huge from our vantage point, at least across.
We use a computer analysis system to study the fingerprints of the lights.
Jim De La Tosa of Village Labs in Tempe, a nationally recognized UFO research center, also dismisses military flares as being the answer.
It doesn't explain all of the events that happened that night. And that was a great distance away from the location where the lights came to rest that everyone videotaped.
De La Tosa's partner, Michael Tanner, calls the Phoenix Lights phenomenon a benchmark in UFO studies.
We had everything from large V-shaped craft to large triangles to orbs of light, different colors, different shapes. moving at great speeds, still hovering. All kinds of things went on in a very short period of time.
Now, those lights were seen at 10 different areas across the state. Now, over 300 sightings were recorded. Now, I'm up here at Squaw Peak. I haven't noticed anything unusual up in the sky tonight, but some people are still recording sightings of some unusual lights as recently as just a few days ago.
Okay. Nina, thanks very much for that report. The Discovery Channel will air their hour-long special called Phoenix UFO, The Anatomy of a Sighting, sometime in October.
Still a mystery.
It sure is.
Neighbors say X-38 was dropped from a B-52 23,000 feet up. 9 minutes later, it landed safely in the Mojave Desert. The X-38 doesn't have wings or an engine, just a parachute for steering. Well, do you remember this? It was 1 year ago tomorrow that people across the valley saw something they just couldn't explain.
And our phone lines lit up. Mysterious lights up in the sky. What were they? The theories ran wild. Everything from flares used by the National Guard to UFOs. As News 15's Sean Lay reports, those lights still have people talking tonight.
It was just so bright, I saw 5 bright luminous objects in a straight line heading south.
Most everyone remembers that strange night.
Yeah, 8:30 that night on March the 13th, 1997.
Active 522, turn 10 degrees left.
Some pilot must have seen something.
And Alan Morey will never forget what he saw.
Still at this point, we're not sure if they were aircraft or what they were. It's still an unknown.
Morey, along with many others, are still puzzled by this scene. Strange lights hovering, cruising, teasing the valley. A year later, there is still no official explanation satisfying spotters.
Absolutely.
But Morey's group, Mutual UFO Network, at least knows this. The lights, they say, were not flares, reported earlier that night.
That situation and the 10 o'clock situation are 2 separate situations. They're not linked together at all.
Videotape like this has been analyzed over and over again, and it's still baffling a year later.
I don't know. There's not enough evidence to make an opinion, so I really can't do that.
UFO means underestimated female official.
Former Phoenix Councilwoman Frances Emma Barwood says one thing is for sure about March 13th, 1997, it has changed her life.
What's interesting particularly about March 13th is 98% of the people that I've talked to describe the same thing.
Barwood has made the strange lights part of her campaign for Secretary of State.
Why isn't anybody else curious? I mean, why am I the only elected official that wanted to find out about it? Alamogordo, New Mexico, from Boise, Idaho.
She now gets stacks of mail from across the country detailing similar sightings.
There's no doubt in my mind that they saw something really phenomenal. Maybe about that much.
Barwood doesn't know if we'll ever find out what this was, but she'll keep asking questions and keep looking skyward.
I look up in the sky a lot more now than I ever did. And I have to admit, I never did before. But.
And Sean Lay, News 15.
As you might expect, many people we talked to tonight say they'll be back out there tomorrow night on that 1 year anniversary to see if there's a repeat performance. You know, if there is, I'm going to bet we show it to you right here on News 15.
And we'll both go outside, check it out, and compare notes.
There you go.
Who could forget? Exactly a year ago tonight, our phones were lit up in the newsroom with reports of mysterious lights hovering over the valley.
And there have been many explanations of the event, now known as the Phoenix Lights. But for many, what those lights were remain a mystery. As Troy Hayden tells us first on Fox, it wasn't the only time people have witnessed that kind of phenomena.
What in the hell is that?
That's what a lot of people have been asking over the past year since those now famous mystery lights first appeared over the valley. But these lights, which actually show a V formation that's moving, were shot by an Arizona couple almost 5 years ago. And these lights, also in an apparent V formation, were taped during a concert in Israel. Both tapes were brought to UFO buff Michael Tanner after worldwide publicity surrounded the mysterious Phoenix lights of a year ago.
It's been really hectic at times, very time-consuming to deal with all of the interest because it's come literally from all over the world.
Let's take a closer look at that tape from 5 years ago. It was shot just north of the valley, just off of I-17. Now you can tell the formation is moving by looking at the dim star in the left part of your screen. It's now circled. The V passes right over it, but you never lose sight of the star. Skyfox pilot Rick Crabb says that suggests multiple aircraft like military jets flying in a formation. Also, you can see a strobe light at the back of the V, a strobe light just like you'd see on any normal plane.
I don't hear anything, do you?
No, I don't hear anything.
But a big question, why couldn't the couple hear the jets on an otherwise quiet desert night? Then there's this. A woman in New York State sent Tanner a series of drawings describing what she saw just days after those mysterious Vs were spotted in Phoenix.
Across the board, these people were everyday citizens, just curious, if not overwhelmed by what they saw, and wanted to know what it was.
Unfortunately, at this point, those are questions that remain unanswered. Troy Hayden, Fox 10 News.
But remember, the Maryland National Guard has claimed they were responsible for the Phoenix lights. They say they were dropping flares from A-10 jets during a military exercise.
To look into the strange lights over Phoenix is now asking for your vote. Republican Frances Emma Barwood, a former Phoenix council member, announced today that she is running for Secretary of State. That's the position next in line to the governor. One of Barwood's campaign issues is looking into what's behind this strange formation of lights that was spotted over Phoenix last March. The state never investigated. Barwood says that's just an example of the government not being open with the people.
The whole way that everything was handled just showed me that there is definitely a problem here. So I guess my biggest thing on my platform would be that I want to see total openness.
Barwood is running against this woman. Barwood is actually running against the current Secretary of State, Betsy Bayless. She took over when Jane D. Hull was appointed governor.
A scientific probing look up close at those strange Phoenix lights. One man says there's a message inside. Stay with us.
I'm sure you've certainly heard about them.
Yeah, everybody's heard about them, but not the way you're going to see those lights tonight. In this edition of the 10 Files, we introduce you to a man who says each one of those lights may be trying to tell us something. This is a first on television. You're looking at a scientific analysis on an individual light that was spotted over the Phoenix skies last March. By now, you're no doubt familiar with the V-shaped or the straight line light seen from a distance. But this is something very different.
Each light has a repeating pattern, and it's different in each light.
Jim Delatoso is a UFO buff and special effects designer who worked on the smash movie Titanic. He decided to use his high-tech gear to freeze and break down individual lights that were captured on home video last year. And this is what he saw. A circular, almost screw-like pattern that repeats every 2 seconds.
And we find this pattern that moves from top to bottom and bottom to top, almost like barcode.
Now, a lot of people, including other UFO experts, think the lights were nothing more than military flares.
We have now decided that the Air National Guard was correct when they said just before 10 o'clock they shot off target flares for their pilots to intercept.
But look closely. This is footage of a flare over the Goldwater test range.
As you can see them flaming and on fire and moving.
And this, again, is a close-up of one of several lights seen last March over the skies of Phoenix. Well, what does it mean? Right now, nobody knows for sure.
I just know that I've never seen something like that before in an airplane light, in a star, in a city light, and certainly not in a flare.
You know, it seems hard to believe, but in 5 days, it will be a full year since those lights were spotted over the Phoenix skies. And still, right now, no solid explanation on what they were.
It's been the talk of the valley the past few days, those mysterious lights that hovered above the northeast sky on Thursday night. Well, what were they? UFO? Just an aircraft? To get a better idea, we're joined by Steve Kates. Mr. Kates is an expert on outer space. He hosts a radio show where he goes by the name of Dr. Sky. Dr. Sky, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me to Arizona Prime.
Those lights, what do you make of them? And let's take a look at more pictures. They were spotted in Flagstaff, Phoenix, Tucson, and you say even as far away as Las Vegas.
That's correct. All throughout the western states, particularly in Arizona last Thursday.
What the heck is that?
Well, most people are now speculating, including myself, that we're seeing some military test aircraft, probably of the Aurora-type space plane. That's one of the main theories.
Is that a single-wing plane?
More than likely. They're triangular shaped, and that is exactly what most of the callers and viewers are describing. If this particular object indeed is a research hypersonic type vehicle traveling through the atmosphere, this is probably what the leading contention is right now as to what it really is.
Now, Mr. Cates, you're an astronomer by trade. Are you a believer that we've been visited in any way, shape, or form up to now?
Well, not really. I don't really subscribe to that theory at all. For many years, I've always believed that any of the things in the nighttime sky are usually explainable, and most of these objects are astronomical objects. And in this particular case, that's what makes this particular incident so strange, is that people are seeing these particular triangular-shaped objects, but more so out of the southern area of Nevada, an area we call Area 51, the Groom Lake Test Area. This is probably where these particular vehicles were probably originating from, in my opinion.
When you say astronomical events, does that suggest that it's something other than military aircraft, that these are comets or burning debris, or?
In my opinion, John, these are simple objects that are man-made and not extraterrestrial, and certainly not astronomical. As we know, we have a great comet in the sky. That's been ruled out as the actual object in this particular case, a meteor, because meteors don't seem to travel in swarms across the sky. And these reports that I've read and have listened to, like all of our listeners and viewers, I find totally fascinating. And I speculate again that they're probably some type of military-type aircraft.
Mr. Cates, and of course, then you're left with the military trying to protect, presumably, a government secret. And so the people who believe go unrebutted.
Absolutely, and it leads more credence to the extraterrestrial connection, which I personally do not subscribe to. And knowing astronomy, as many of our viewers do, obviously I'm not naive enough to think that we have no life in the universe, but I doubt if we're being visited at this particular time, and that may come as a shock to many people. I would hope that there is some sort of intelligent life in the universe, but according to many speculative astronomers today, that's probably not the case right now because of the vast distance.
Let's move on to Hale-Bopp, this comet that is really causing some just spectacular sightings around the valley, particularly in the morning, right? But now we're starting to see it at night as well.
Absolutely. This is a phenomenal comet. This comet, Comet Hale-Bopp, now can be seen in the early evening sky, looking to the right of the sunset location between there and north, the northwest, and you will be able to see this most beautiful object, bright enough to be seen with the naked eye. And John, it gets better, because as it approaches the sun closest on April the 1st, this particular comet will lead up to our big night here in the valley we're calling the Night of the Comet. On April the 4th, we will have all of our Channel 10 viewers and all other interested people coming to the Dreamy Draw Park here in Phoenix to see this most phenomenal event, free of charge. And we have this event co-sponsored by the Discovery Channel store here in Phoenix. What a beautiful way to spend, as we're calling it, the Night of the Comet.
Because it's so well done, I'm going to let the carefully crafted commercial go unchecked here. Now tell me about Hale-Bopp. Mr. Bopp is actually a Phoenix resident.
Absolutely. Tom Bopp lives here in the valley.
An amateur.
Absolutely. He lives here in Glendale, and a fine person, certainly one of the amateur astronomers, and thus the name Hale-Bopp. The other gentleman, Alan Hale, the other co-discoverer from Cloudcroft, New Mexico.
What is this exactly that we see? Is this really just a burning ice ball in the atmosphere?
Similar to a dirty snowball. An approximate size of this object is an incredible 20 or 25 miles in diameter, which makes this comet unbelievably large. And what's happening, John, very briefly, is that the sun's energy, solar wind and radiation, is burning off material off the surface of this object. So the comet is a big polluter in space. People don't believe it. It's giving off lots of carbon monoxide. That is correct, carbon monoxide, but safe enough that it's passing the Earth.
And that tail we see, is that fire or particles?
Particles coming off and burning off of the nucleus of the comet itself. And that happens in a process we call sublimation, where the energy transfer occurs from a solid and it passes a liquid and goes right on to a gas.
All right, Mr. Cates, quickly again, where do we see it? The eastern sky.
Looking into the northwest is the exact location.
Okay.
Any clear evening now, the comet will get brighter and get brighter as it moves higher into the sky, and probably best during the first 2 weeks of April.
All righty, Dr. Sky, Mr. Cates, trying to get all these names straight. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Good to see you.
Thank you.